Mombasa. A few minutes ago, the DPP Noordin Haji finished officiating the launch of a social justice center in Mtwapa, Kilifi County, where residents from that particular area aired their grievances, and topping one of their greatest concerns is the issue of land grabbing in that particular place, accusing businessmen and of course political leaders of colluding with unscrupulous persons to grab their properties, and of course also the DPP taking a swipe on various issues affecting the delivery of justice in the country, among them frustrations by some people, and of course also the issue of corruption. And let me just quickly engage him to just take his view on some of those issues that he spoke about today. It's great to have you, sir. Today you were there in Kanamai, and so many things came up. One of the things that actually really was of great concern to the residents is the issue of land grabbing. What is the position of your office when it comes to this issue?
Thank you. First of all, the issue of land grabbing, I think, is not peculiar to the coast only. We've been going across the country. We've been in Nairobi, in the slum areas. We've been in Nyanza province also, and other areas. Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay. And all through, it has just been issues about land and how people have been either disinherited, dispossessed, or fraudulently, robbed off their rights over land. So land is a really emotive issue, and what I've been saying repeatedly, that this is an issue that needs to be solved. A lot of it, of course, and the bulk of it, let's say 99% of the problem is due to corruption, and the fact that, as you said, the unscrupulous dealers are aware that they can easily exploit issues of corruption within land, within other government, areas. So as ODPP, this is one of the reasons why we've been going around and we've been establishing this justice center, so that we're able to tackle some of these problems immediately, instead of them boiling up and becoming a social issue and a problem.
You promised the residents to take up the issue, especially on the Kanamai land, and you heard them mentioning even names of politicians and other people in the region, and of course also requesting that the files be forwarded to you by Wednesday, and that everybody involved in that particular matter record a statement with the police. What are we expecting from today henceforth regarding this matter?
Of course, I'm waiting to see the file on Wednesday, and if I pick that there are certain individuals that were mentioned and have not been asked to write statements, I'll ensure that they write statements. And I will review the file holistically to make sure that these are just not mere accusation, but if there is evidence, and I'll ensure that evidence is collected, we will prosecute. There's nothing like mkubwa or mdogo. Everybody is equal before the law, and that's what we will ensure happens. Yeah.
Also, there are reports also coming up from our courts, and we are seeing that 9 suspects have been acquitted in the Solai tragedy on grounds that the prosecution failed to appear in court and offer concrete evidence towards going forward in charging these particular suspects. What is your reflection on that? I
am alarmed, I must say. This is like another ruling, like the Babu Owino ruling. On this matter, we were in negotiations with some of the parties for plea bargaining, and the court knew that, and that's why we asked for several adjournments. So to use the fact that maybe one of the prosecutor for one day was not there, is that in public interest then to acquit? Just because maybe one person, according to the judge, was not there and he was not informed, yet our records show very well. And there are other individuals that were there who have made several applications, including the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, and there's another lawyer. The applications have not been heard. How can you therefore rush and acquit somebody before you exhaust and before you look at the issues in depth? So we are really puzzled with some of these issues. This particular case, we've been struggling for over 18 months to move it from Naivasha because of this very reason. Because according to us, some of the individuals were compromised, whether within the judiciary or the police or the provincial administration, and even some of the prosecutors. And that's why we had prosecutors coming from Nairobi who were not based in that particular jurisdiction. Yet they kept on insisting prosecuting and listening to this matter in Naivasha, despite our numerous pleas in the High Court and elsewhere. So there is much more than what people might think. This case, we will appeal, and I think now we will put everything on the table so that the public knows. We have been very, very, very restrained, but I think this is no longer tenable.
Well, of course, also while addressing the residents of Kanamai, there's also another issue that you took a swipe on judges on issue of ruling on bails and bond terms in the country, citing that this particular issue frustrates the delivery of justice in the country. What is your reflection on that as well?
First of all, let me make it very clear. I am not talking about the whole of the judiciary. It's a few bad apples that we have. And we have them everywhere, whether it is the police, whether it is the ODPP or elsewhere. So get me right. It is certain individuals and not the whole of the judiciary. And I think you've had quite a number of people complaining about this, including the retired Chief Justice Mutunga, commenting on this. And the fact that what we are trying to do in essence is to try and protect the image of the judiciary. Because if you do not have a judiciary that has a good image and that has the confidence of the public, then we all suffer, including prosecutors and the police, because then what are we doing? It is a waste of time. And we are saying this, and we are asking people to take note of this and take action against such individuals.
Well, of course, also that is also another thing that really came out clearly. You heard the residents there complaining over these public institutions that they trust to handle the issues and citing that the corruption allegations that are marring these particular government institutions and jeopardizing the process of delivering justice to them. So it is something that they take a concern about, and hoping that the DPP will address these particular concerns, especially the issue of corruptions within government institutions.
Listen, I will not talk about other institutions, and I'll talk about ODPP. We will do our best, and we'll do whatever we can within our mandate and our ability. And those who are willing to work with us will work with us. Those who are not, then the public will decide. But as I've said over and over, there is a problem. The problem is systemic. We are trying to address it, and we hope those from the different arms of government will support us to make sure that we have a country that dispenses justice fairly.
Okay. Thank you. That was the ODPP Noordin Haji speaking a few moments after launching the social justice system. Oliver, I don't know what anything that you have that you'd want the DPP to touch on before I let him go.
Yes, Kevin, a quick question. He's touched on the question of bail and bond terms. And recently we saw Moses Lenol Kulal, the court rather declined to hold Moses Lenol Kulal in contempt for reshuffling his cabinet. Sonko has gone ahead to do the same. Did the DPP misinterpret the court's orders as far as these governors staying away from the county headquarters?
Well, of course, there's also another issue that is coming up, and my colleague Olive is raising a concern over the contempt of court orders. She's raised a question on the governors facing corrupt charges in court going forward and reshuffling the government. Is this according to the law, and what can you tell us about that?
As far as I'm concerned, it's not according to the law. I mean, the bail terms are very clear. We are appealing so that we can get even more clarity. It is a problem, and frankly speaking, as ODPP, we are not going to give up. We are going to still insist that governors step aside and that bail terms and court orders are obeyed, even if they are ridiculous, like the Babu Owino one. We find that it is, but we are respecting it, and everybody has to do that. Everybody has to respect court orders, and that is the ODPP's stand.